Your CV and your cover letter are your first step towards proving to a potential team member or a hiring manager that you are a good fit. This is the first time we interact with those we may be working with in the future. We all know that there is no second chance for a first impression, and the CV screening phase is no walk in the park. I hope that you are ready for a to-the-point, tactical, and as practical as it gets product management webinar, because it's review time. By the way, nice to meet you. My name is Moria Cassis. I'm the founder and general manager of Product League, and we help you to become the best product manager you can be. Product League is an international mentoring program for product managers by product managers in 30 countries around the world, from Argentina to Turkey, from United States to Australia, and anywhere in between. And in this review session, you will meet three of our mentors. Three of our mentors will review actual CVs and cover letters and provide their feedback as well as specific tips on how to improve. So 3 mentors, 1 online stage, and so many questions from you, the audience. So please go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat and let us know who you are, where you're from, and what is your question when it comes to product management CVs and cover letters. I hope that you are ready because we are starting now. Let's meet our panelists for today. Our first panelist for today is Daniel Tulfout from Limburg, the Netherlands, brand CPO and head of product growth at SAS Group and Product League mentor. Daniel has 2 decades of experience in product growth and innovation consulting. He's also the author of the product strategy book From Vision to Version, a father of 2, a husband of 1, and a bread baking enthusiast. Next time we are meeting, I want to have some bread.
Oh, you get some.
What's up, Daniel?
Hey, nice to be here again. Always a pleasure to join.
Always happy to have you on our floor. Can't wait to discuss this super interesting and important topic with you. I'm sure you have a lot to add to the discussion. And what do you say? Shall we bring Michal to the stage?
Absolutely, we should.
Let's do that. Oh, and Michal is not yet with us. So we're going to call Ronnie to join us, and it's going to be much fun. And from Haifa, Israel, let's welcome Ronnie Moses, product manager at MediSafe and Product League mentor. Ronnie is an experienced product management professional in the healthcare industry, as well as in compliance. By focusing on market, business needs, and technical capabilities, she manages product roadmaps with passion. Much passion.
Very much. Thank you for having me, Moria.
The pleasure is all mine. Super excited about this session. We always love to have you on the stage. I think this is the 3rd or 4th time that we are discussing some product-related issues and, challenges and opportunities with our audience. Super excited about the opportunity, and I know that it's going to be much fun.
Definitely.
What do you say? Shall we bring Michal?
Yes, most definitely.
Let's do that. And now, please shout out a big hello to Michal Kaul from New York City, United States, Senior Product Manager at Walmart and Product League mentor. Working with top-tier brands, Michal has more than 10 years of e-commerce, retail, and CRM experience. Over the course of her career, Michal developed product strategies that drove bottom-line results while providing delightful customer experiences. It's all about delightful customer experiences.
Hi, great to be here. Nice seeing you, Moria.
Nice seeing you here as well. Super excited to have you here with us. What's up, Michal? How is New York?
New York is good, being warmer, and very excited to be here today to help support all the product managers out there. It's been great to kind of be involved and help one another. So thank you for having me.
The pleasure is mine. I know that everyone in the audience is going to learn a lot today, and it's true. It's all about the product community, right? And sharing and, just giving back in this session, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's bring Daniel and Ronnie to join us here because it's going to be a super interesting session. Everyone in the audience, get ready because it's about CVs, it's about resumes, it's about cover letters, it's about everything that is your first impression as a product professional, and it's going to be very meaningful. Now, we are going to start this session with what we like to call the 10 commandments of product management CVs and cover letters. All the little things that we think you have to keep in mind when we are talking about CVs, resumes, cover letters done right for product management positions. We're going to name 10, and I'm going to start with one of my own. And this one is convey both your hard and soft skills. You are a product management professional. So there is the product aspect of the things, right? All the hard skills, but you're also a manager, and you have to show some soft skills, some personal aspects of you that are going to make this position the right fit for you, why you are the right person for this job. So this was my commandment, and Ronnie, I'm sure you have a few to add of your own.
Most definitely. Yes. So first of all, use numbers to quantify the value you bring and highlight your accomplishments. Numbers shows that you know how to measure your worth. And if you know how to measure your worth, then you know what you bring to the table. And you could definitely show that the best way. My second one is have multiple versions for different jobs. And here you'll be applying to different places and they'll have slightly different requirements. Don't have one resume that's the same. It shows when you're very generic and you don't specify what they're looking for. And my third is focus on what's important. You may have a lot of experience, you may have a little bit of experience, only show what's relevant.
I love all three. If I may use some copywriting techniques here. So it's about quantify your work and quantify your worth. If I may, love all three. All are great. Thank you very much, Ronnie. Daniel, the floor is yours.
Thanks. So yeah, my first one is kind of a very generic one, but treat your CV like it is your product. You know, it's like the 10,000 to-do list app we see on the App Store. So why should somebody check this out? Why should somebody download it and actually try it? Same with your CV. That recruiter, that hiring manager is getting dozens of similar CVs. Everyone is talking about, yeah, I have experience in product management and I have some skills here and there. But this is your, like you said, this is the first impression you make. So make this a good impression. You can use all your techniques from user onboarding, from product discovery, everything you've learned, you can pour into your CV. You can test it. You can optimize it. So why not treat your CV as your actual product? The second one would be, I'm personally not a big fan of cover letters. So mostly I just skim over them and it's usually a waste of my time. So either I would say skip the very generic cover letter where you just iterate what's been said on the job application anyway, or highlight some red flags. So we all have those few things in our CV that raise some eyebrows. Address them if you want to get a head start on there in the conversation and say why this is actually not a downside but an upside to your profile. If you can't do that, just skip the CV. Skip the cover letter. Sorry. And my last one would be try to actually communicate your mindset and the style of your working, and don't just list PM buzzwords. So I'm not interested in if you've worked with Jira. So anybody can learn a tool in a week, so that it's not setting you apart from anyone. But what's your PM style? There is no one style that rules them all. No one skills that trumps all of them. Everybody has a different mindset, and it needs to fit the product. It needs to fit the company culture. Try to highlight how you approach things as a product manager, not purely your list of skills. It's not an SEO article you want to rank for a dozen keywords, right?
I love all three. You are the greatest product you'll ever work on, and probably your CV is the second greatest, most important product you'll ever work on. I love this, Daniel. Thank you very much. Last but not least, Michal.
Thank you. First of all, I really everything is both of your commandments. I think they're all great, and to add to them, I think one thing, the first one that I want to mention that kind of connects to the thing that you brought up is really about less is more. So thinking about the fact that companies, hiring managers, and HR have so many resumes they are reading and going through. Think about the key thing that you really want to bring in the resume. Don't try to fluff it and add more. Just be very specific, because I feel like a lot of the time you don't really have time to read through all the resumes. The minute that you're starting and you're seeing some areas that don't fit, you might just skip the whole resume and you're missing an opportunity. So keep it simple and minimalist. The second thing I'll say is really kind of bringing your value proposition in the narrative of your resume. Think about the value that you're bringing with your product experience and try to convey it across your resume, bringing highlights that connect to that narrative and to that type of product management position you're looking to have, if it's specifically for an industry or a specific product you're looking to continue building yourself. So again, bringing your value in the narrative of your resume. That's the second one. And the third one, I think, which is I feel like is key, is really bringing visibility to your CV. I think that today product managers are submitting resume when there is like a ton of competition out there. I feel like, especially with COVID, you're not competing with people in your geography. You're competing with like the world, right? So try to do the best to bring visibility to your CV. Reach out to your network on LinkedIn. You're interested in specific companies, reach out to people in that organization, ask for information, share your insights, get any way and to bring your resume to be on top of the pile with the right group. So really bring up the effort to get visibility for your resume will be the third one, which I think is key to succeed in this very crazy community of product managers that is out there today.
Super valuable tips. I love all three. I love all 10, guys, everything that you guys mentioned. And I'm sure that the audience already has meaningful tips to follow up on. And when we're talking about CVs and cover letters, and let's see who we've got here in the audience. So we have Elad joining us from Tel Aviv. Hello. We have Toktam joining us from Iran. We have Guy joining us. We have Amanda joining us as well. Love seeing all of you guys in the audience. Keep the questions coming, okay? These wonderful mentors, 3 mentors are here to answer your questions. So everything that is on your mind and heart when it comes to product management, CVs, and cover letters done right, bring it on. We're looking to answer all the questions that you will bring in the chat. Now we are starting with the review part of our session, and we are going to walk through real CVs and real cover letters that were submitted by leaguers. So we actually posted online a call to action to everyone who is interested in their CV or cover letter to be reviewed by our guys here to submit their CV. You can't see the details. You can't know who the person is because it's about the content, not about the person, right? And we are going to dive deeper into the nitty-gritty things that we as hiring managers look at when we are looking to hire people. Everything is about the content, about the artifacts. Nothing is about the people. And of course, everything that is shared here today with us was given by the people themselves, okay, with their consent. And with no further ado, we are starting right now, okay? So the first CV that we are looking at is from a person who is looking to receive offers, who is applying for a director of product management position, okay? So this is the person. This is the CV. We are going to look at that in further details, okay? Don't worry, we made your life easier, okay? And we're going to start with you, Daniel, because I'm sure that you have something to discuss with us when we are talking about this CV. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So first, a word of warning, as I don't know about the other cultures, but as the German in the round, I'm a pretty direct and non-diplomatic person. So while this is submitted by someone probably in the audience, I won't hold back. So, but don't let this get under your skin. I'm just trying
We
to
just want to
improve
make
this
this
here.
person to have the most amazing CV possible. This is our intent here.
Absolutely. Just don't expect me to sugarcoat things.
Of course.
So, well, again, this is a product, so we need to start by looking at the audience. So if you're applying as director of product management, this usually means you're not really applying for a startup, and you're applying for a company that has some product management experience, whereas some peers, there's probably a CPO, a head of product that will be reviewing this. So mostly a pretty mature organization, or at least in a few aspects. This needs to reflect in your CV, and this needs to stand out. And purely based, if we go from the outside in, I think this is okay structured. So from the visual appeal, and it's clear to read. It's not letting me hunt across all the pages to look for clues, but it's also not looking very inspired. So this might be my inner designer speaking, but I would say this looks kind of meh. So it's okay, but for a very customer facing job, or for a highly innovative, highly creative job, I would probably have a few question marks on this. But that's I think that's fine. But if we now dive into the details and just go from top to bottom. So first of all, I like that he's stating, or he or she's stating, the current job title, years of experience. That's fine. The next section I don't really get, might be a bit lost in translation and obfuscation here, but it feels like they're copying a thing out of the job listing, which I personally have never seen before, and I find quite weird, because the company they're applying for, they know their job listing, they just don't know the profile of the person. So this feels like he's made a post-it, he or she made a post-it to themselves to remember what job they applied for. Then they're starting with key skills, and this is a section that I would personally push down a lot more, because usually people are not really interested in those very, very random skills at a time, I would say. So for example, critical thinking, 9 years. So imagining that this person is 30 years old, what has he done the first 21 years of his life without critical thinking? Like, these are super generic and doesn't really tell a lot about his experience or her way of working towards product management. So those skills I personally would just skip completely. I think they're kind of useless here. Then going to the professional experience, the layout is fine. I think the sentences here, the details shared for the job, are also a bit generic. So this is really the chance to highlight things you've achieved, some numbers, something that stood out in that role. So like, was part of developing the vision and strategy. Well, guess what? This is what a senior product director usually does. So I would be very worried if this was not part of your job. So don't highlight things that are part of that anyway. So I always get these lengthy lists of, like, I have written user stories, and I've talked with customers, and I have talked with developers, I've successfully talked with my managers. Okay, fine. So, but you're not applying for like an internship, right? So highlight the things you've achieved that really stood out here. Going to the next page, or next section, I guess. Yeah. So second role, or second experience kind of mirrors this, so nothing new here. For the education, this might be just an obfuscation thing, but it's raised an eyebrow for me that they made their masters before doing their bachelors. It's not impossible, but at least it raised an eyebrow for me. Besides that, well, it's solid probably, and it fits. I think it's always nice to have someone coming from some other background, so not having a generic business degree, but rather having also something in marketing, something in development. Sometimes psychology is very nice addition to a product mindset. But yeah, so I like that here. So now it gets really funky. So first of all, we have the achievements. She's been employee of the month as her role as product director. So while I have no information about the size of the organization, this feels like this meme where Obama is giving himself a medal, right? So I'm naming myself employee of the month. At least it felt weird. It's not the typical achievement that I would put on a CV personally. The second one I can't really comment on. I'm not sure if this is an official award. Also feels a bit not. I would just put official things on achievements, or things like you've made a Kickstarter campaign, or you started a startup, even if it failed, but things that are kind of the ordinary but traceable, right? But employee of the month is a bit far-fetched, I would say. Certifications are okay. Nothing. I would just browse over them. They don't get me too excited, but they're the nice addition. It's fine. Hobbies and interests. This is, we usually tend to skip profile pictures on CVs, not to introduce bias, but at the same time we do this with hobbies and interests. So, for example, naming astrology. So, assuming that they weren't referring to astronomy, but really astrology. This I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but this would not be a red flag, but at least would raise an eyebrow for me as well. So at least it clashes a bit with my personal beliefs. That's fine. That doesn't need to be a completely downside, but it's a risky thing to put on a CV. So I would hard think about putting astrology on there, to be honest. The rest is fine. It gives some character to your CV. And I personally don't mind CVs with a picture on them, but it's a cultural thing. So in Germany, in the Netherlands, it's pretty common to have them. It's rather weird to have one without the picture, but it's different in the UK and in the US, for example. So know your audience here. Career aspirations, here's where they completely lost me. So they have 9 years of product management experience, are applying for product director, but their biggest career aspiration is to explore more skills in product management, without being very specific. So it might be like, I've achieved everything there is to achieve in B2B product management, and now I want to discover B2C. That would be fine for me. But just this very generic, I want to improve on product management, feels like something that a junior PM could write to transition into a more senior role. Yeah, so I think I would just skip this section altogether. I don't think it's very valuable. It's usually you can only make it worse having it. It's very rare, I would say, that you find a very good sentence there that will push you to the front of the pack. Same with favorite quote. It's a bit like my favorite breakfast and favorite way to sear a steak. So why would I care? It's just a random quote. It's just a way to try to look elaborate and intellectual, and you've been reading and you got some, I don't know, Mark Twain thing here going. But again, I would just skip it. Perhaps I would rather change it to a quote from one of your clients, from one of your superiors, saying something about you. So while this again can also be completely faked, I still think of it as a product. A recommendation or a testimonial is worth much more than this random grab from the internet to have a quote on there. And last but not least, we got language and social media. I think language is kind of a given. I'm I'm personally not sure how to, if you should put like the basic things on there and what basic actually means. So for example, I do speak exactly one sentence in Lithuanian and one sentence in Norwegian, but I wouldn't put those as basic on my CV. Not saying that they know only one sentence, but it's trying to fill the gaps, fill some empty space. So I would put only languages in there that can be useful. So if I now apply for this role and they interview me and they now give me a Polish guy interviewing me because, hey, you know, get some basic Polish, we just wanted to test you there, and I know exactly one sentence, that would be a very short interview. So perhaps just skip it there. I would rather be interested in, is there any language you're currently trying to learn and why? So that could be an interesting addition. In social media, I guess LinkedIn is fine. Facebook, very depending on the market. So here in the local market, it's a very personal thing to be added or searched on Facebook. So I wouldn't expect that on a professional CV, but might be different in another country. So those are
Spot
my
on.
20 sentences.
Spot on. I love everything that you mentioned, Danielle. And I think that you also addressed the elephant in the room, which is the 2 pages long CV, which to me, I don't know, this is my opinion about that. You really have to have a really good reason why asking someone to turn the page around. Okay. And keep in mind that most people won't remember to turn the page around or scroll down. Okay, so having more than one page for your CV should have a really good reason. Okay, and you know, combining everything that you just said, I think this person could have skipped a big portion of the CV and just leave it aside.
It's about storytelling. So I personally don't mind having reading a 4-page CV. If it actually takes me from one thing to the next, and like, oh, I got a question, it's answered, but that raises the question, that is answered now. So it's like reading a good book that unfolds. That makes sense. So it for me, the length doesn't matter. It's like this myth on the web that you need to have everything above the fold. That's like a 15-year-old usability rule. That's simply not true anymore. And I would argue it's the same for the CV. But whatever you put on the CV that makes it so long, it needs to make sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to go back to one of the things that you mentioned as for the key skills. So you raised a flag there, a really good one. And I want to add something here that I see that with many candidates, that there is tendency to think that the fact that you dealt with something, with a challenge, or you know, with a task or something like that, that means that you are good in that. I don't care if you're good, you have 9 years of experience with time management. I care whether you're good at that or not. I don't care that you've been a manager and you have experience with supervision for 5 years. I want to know if you're good at that or not. And just naming the skills that honestly tell me nothing, but you know, and then the experience in terms of the time that you have to deal with that tells me nothing. And it also goes back to lack of product management thinking, because it's never about the mean, it's about the end. So this is something on my end. Ronnie and Michal, do you have anything to add?
I definitely agree with that comment about key skills. I mean, I feel like it's very easy to say I have all of those things that I can do, which doesn't really reflect for the HR or recruiting manager about your capabilities. I feel like if you want to showcase a skill, you need to find the right action you've done in a previous work or life to showcase, you know, how you were able to handle a situation and got it to be going live on time, or in what time you are actually leading a team. So I feel like showing skills are definitely not helpful, and you need to showcase that by actual examples in your experience that you want to display. So that's one thing. Going back to what I mentioned on commitments, I feel like, you know, again, less is more. And so whatever type of word you're putting in your resume, think, well, that's going to help me get the job, yes or no? And if it's not, like, Maybe some positions, the Facebook, for example, will be helpful if it's related to marketing or you want them to go to see what activities you've done. But if it has nothing to do with your role, then there's no reason to put it. So I think really being mindful on what you have there, and will that get you to get the interview or not, versus all the other candidates. Also bringing up the fact that I feel like a lot of times there are a lot of resumes that a hiring manager gets, and they need to make a decision fast. So I think, to your point, getting it to be one pager and focus on key things that will get me to want to talk with you more. I don't need to see everything someone did in order to get them to interview, but it needs to be interesting enough for me to say, wow, it looks like they have really good background that we can use. Let's talk with him or with her. So it more about like giving a good idea of what you're able for to get you to that conversation, so you can share everything. So I'm with you on trying to get it to be one very focused laser on your value proposition.
Absolutely. And if not, make sure that you have a really, really good reason, as with storytelling or something else, as for why you use more than one page. Thank you very much, Michal and Ronnie.
I agree with what you both said, Daniel. I love what you said about the languages. Personally, I know Klingon quite well. It's on my resume.
Awesome.
And I once actually got to an interview and somebody started speaking Klingon to me. And then he realized that my Klingon was better than his. So be careful, because you might actually fall on someone who knows a language that you claim to know. So
very, very nice. Absolutely. And we have Gore here joining and saying that CV is also for HR or automated systems to check for acquired skills. This is another reason why, if you're mentioning key skills, as we saw before, make sure that it matches what was listed in this specific opportunity, in this position, so it will be matched. Absolutely a good one. And we are back to review some CVs, and this time it's about a group product manager CV. Okay, we're going to dive a little bit into it, and this is how it looks. Okay, and what I want us to start a discussion with is the fact that the first sentences here are about what this person is passionate about. So this person is stating here, I'm a passionate problem solver with creative thinking and willingness to work hard for a product I believe in. I will put the extra mile and excel things I love. I also a surfer, scuba instructor, singer, and a painter when not at work. Now, it sounds fantastic, and I'm sure this person is a super cool one, but 2 out of the 3 sentences here are about how this person is acting when they love what is it that they do as a product manager. Now, here is the hard, sometimes not nice to be heard truth, okay? This is the hard truth about hard things. Product management is not always fun, okay? You sometimes need to do things that you rather put another colleague of yours on, assign it to someone else, not do it at all. Or in some cases, you can, start with a company working on a specific product, and then there is a pivot. And all of a sudden, like 3 months later, you're doing something else. And it happens. And to me, when I'm reading such a CV, and again, I'm sure this person is a super cool person, it's about what they like to do and not about how they deal with the challenges that come with product management. And we all know that there are many challenges when we're talking about product management. The second thing that I would like us to discuss is the fact that this person is mentioning here on their experience that they are using Jira. And again, tool is a mean, it's not the end. This is a very obvious tool, to go back to what you, Daniel, said before. So I'm not impressed by that. But more than that, it shows me that this person is focuses on how they did things and not whether this action was successful or not. If you can make your dev team to work fantastically with the product team and with everyone, and to have everything aligned without using Jira, and you just, use the walls and you write on them and everything works fantastically, I don't mind, okay? Seriously, whatever works for you. I don't care about PRDs. I don't care about Jira specifically. And this person here is mentioning Jira and writing full documentation, PRDs, as if this was somewhat of achievement. And this is just a mean to an end. And this person is also mentioning here that they have ownership of gaming platform, the full gaming platform. And then in the second part, they mention that part of their job was presenting these ideas, work scopes, prioritization, and stuff like that to R&D and company. Now, not everyone is going to agree with what I'm going to say. Again, the hard truth about the hard things here. When you are an owner of something at the company, if you have ownership over a feature or even just like a tiny bit of something, it's not about you presenting something to stakeholders. It's about you having ownership over something. So part of that will be you presenting it. But if you, as the person who is writing the CV, focuses on presenting, you kind of showing me that you presented, but you weren't in the room when the decision was made. And then I don't really feel like you were the owner of that platform. So it may be about wrong uses of words, okay? Maybe this person was all about ownership of this platform and they did the whole thing from, to A to Z. I don't feel it from this wording, and storytelling is a big factor in all the products that we build, obviously in our CVs as well. Now, if we go to the second thing that is mentioned on the resume here, so they build a medical questionnaire hub, and then the second point is in charge of writing the platform different questionnaires. It's the same thing. Why mentioning the same thing twice? To me, it shows that this person is not really sure that they have enough experience, enough things to discuss. And I don't feel that good about that. Now, I want us to go back to see the whole thing here. We can see that there are 3 positions listed for this person from 2018 until present. So it's a max of 5 years. If there was no gap between the different positions, everything went clear and smooth, they stopped working in one place and then the next day after they started working in another place. If so, they worked at 3 different places. All titles were of product manager with 5 years overall max of experience. And now this person is looking to have a group product manager position. To me, this feels like a little too jump. This is a little too ambitious, okay? I can see a progress of this person within the company, going even from product manager to a senior product manager, something that shows me that within one organization, at least, someone saw a reason for promoting this person. So this is a little bit of too high to jump. And then when we are going to education, all of a sudden, everything is capitalized. And when we're talking about a product management CV, the thing that should have most of attention is your experience and your achievements and how you help the company to grow from one ROI to another, and how you turn the whole company or product, upside down or downside up for this to be better. Okay, so show this and emphasize it in the way that you design the CV, because from the way designed right now, by focusing on the education part, it feels like this person is still in the glory days of university. And I'm sure that this person is very qualified, good in what they do. And then what needs to be capitalized is actually the experience at work that they have. So this is what I have to share. And I'm sure, guys, that you have something to add of your own. Ronnie, what do you think about the CV?
I agree with a lot of what you said. I've read their bullet points. I feel that there's a lack here of accomplishments. Like I said in the 10 Commandments, I feel that quantitative data is very, very important. So if you can't measure what you've brought, the value that you've brought in each role, that shows me a lack of maturity, a lack of understanding the PM work.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. This is the easiest way for us to show how good we are and what we do. Yeah, absolutely. Daniel?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on this one. And what stands out for me is that those are all product manager roles. So probably like entry roles. And in almost all sentences is like in charge of full ownership of. So if this is not like a small startup, but a company with a dozen different product managers. So if we're completely honest, as a junior PM or as an entry level PM, you're in charge of shit. You can't do anything by your own at that point. So don't try to convince people on your CV that you actually did that. So if
I
you
love
jump
it.
like,
I'm stopping you here for 1 second. I'm sorry, because we have a really good comment from the audience, from Gur, saying exactly that. You can mention collaborating with R&D or stakeholders about the desired outcome, but this is not ownership. Exactly.
very good point. And
Yeah.
I almost look if it fits their, like you said, if it fits their level of experience. So their first job was right after university. They went into product management role, which is fine. But they're immediately like in charge of the company's whatever product, directly reporting to the CEO. So either this is a very, very minor product, not really worth mentioning, some internal tool for documentation or whatnot, I don't know. Or this is like really the hidden champion we've been all waiting for, who has been a rock star product manager since he was 12. I don't know, but this doesn't really reflect in the CV.
Yeah. Or this is a super tiny startup where they couldn't afford themselves hiring anyone else. And then, it brings other questions to the table. Yeah. Super problematic. I agree with you. Yeah. The timeline here, something just doesn't it's up the right way. Absolutely. And Michal?
Yeah, I think a lot of great points were brought up. A few things that I want to kind of call out as well to add to it. I totally agree with you that the beginning, the intro is very focused on like what they're looking versus how it can connect to the organization and what's the value that it can bring. And I feel like if they are deciding to talk about passion, I think that passion can be a great value. But if it's a comment that is brought up within the resume when you're sending it to a company and talk about how much you like to work on a product that you're passionate about, say why you're passionate about their product, what you have seen that they're doing, how it can relate to kind of your experience, and make that connection so they'll know that you're interested and you see that passion within their item and their product that you're trying to take on. So make that connection, and then I think it can be useful and valuable for both sides.
I love this one.
The second one is really about trying to take a leadership role, maybe adding more aspects of like what type of and how you've led a product within the CV to some of the point that the team have brought up. I think there is an opportunity to talk about potential initiative that you took ownership in a bigger way that are not coming into play here. And so just to tap on to what the group were saying, I agree with that. And I feel like if there is experience with essentially just finding the right words or the right initiative to talk about it, so you can potentially get that jump to the next level.
I love that. And we're staying with you because we are going to review another CV. This one is of a senior product manager. And let's dive in.
Yes. So first of all, I feel like the person that has this resume has a really great experience, I feel like, within the product and growth. So amazing for you for building yourself up. I think that there are a few pointers that I want to share looking on this resume. So first one, summary. I do believe in kind of a summary for a resume. I feel like it's an opportunity to write a paragraph that kind of gives a narrative to your resume, and all the other items within the resume should kind of point out why am I saying those items. So if you're trying to focus and say, I have an amazing experience in finance and in this type of product, for example, where they're talking about product related to growth and data, put that message in. I feel like there is opportunity to grow that message within the summary and have it as a paragraph, and then within the rest of the CV continue to build upon it and showcase those experiences. I wouldn't have the summary as a bullet points. So make it and lean in onto that experience, data growth, product management, and continue to describe what's the value that you're bringing within a paragraph versus bullet points. Within the summary, some items are being repeated both in the summary and in other places, like the experience with with snowflakes and a few other items. Again, like real estate is limited. You don't have a lot of time to kind of get them to read your resume, and so no reason for kind of repeating yourself. The other aspect is really to the point that we've brought up in previous resumes. Name dropping of systems, can be potentially be done, but kind of at the end. So if someone really wants to make sure that person have an experience in Snowflake, then they can see it over there. So I wouldn't repeat it along the resume, in my view. The other aspect that I wanted to bring up is that there is description of like a stack, a text stack.
Tech stack, yeah.
I would just have one in the end, and if in the end the HR, the hiring manager really interested to know when was the last time you used Snowflake, they can talk about it. But I feel like, again, if the thought is, well, what are the key things that I want them to know that will get them to bring me to an interview, I don't think that's the case. And I would like challenge that all the time when you're writing resume. Will that get me to get the interview versus other things that I can write down? So I would definitely take that to be minimal and just at the end of the resume. Two areas that I felt like potential opportunities over here is really about changing those generic sentences that we're seeing here to be much more specific and bring narrative to what you've done. I felt like when I was reading the resume, if I needed to describe what this person was managing, like is it in finance, in retail, in car, in like medical, I have no idea what they've done. So I feel like we're missing a narrative on the actual initiative that that person was driving within those organizations. The other aspect that I feel like is missing is some connection to the business itself, right? In the end of the day, whatever products we're building, it meant to drive a business aspect. And, it can be one business in one company and a different type of business in another company, but I'm missing that connection. I feel like within that experience, throughout the experience reading in this resume, that aspect is missing. If I'll take, for example, one of the items that is flagged there says, spearheaded analysis of users' data and develop initiatives to increase engagement and retention. Instead of having something so generic, give a specific example of the business aspect that you drove. Talk about, whether you got more businesses to sign up for another year for a service. Talk about consumers coming back to shop again. Like, give some more nuances, because I feel like this is all very generic and there's no detail on actual initiative that you led. So I would take each of them and instead of doing something general, take it and give an example of an actual initiative with the business aspect that it drove within the organization. The other aspect is, and again, this is very focused on the element of making sure that every word that you write here is meaningful. And so in one of the sentences, it says, contribute data modeling and designing entry relationship document and other reporting. If you don't think that specific reporting is meaningful enough to even state the name, then take that off. Like, think about the fact that every word that you're writing there defines, do you have experience that we're looking? Do you understand the business? And if there's something so generic and other reporting, take that off. So I would go and really check every little thing that we're putting in there. And if it doesn't give the hiring manager more information about how good you're going to be in that position, take that off and keep it minimal. Less is more.
Wise words.
The other item that I wanted to flag, we talked a little bit about writing skills, and one of the things that the person that wrote this resume is writing at the first bullet point on the first position is accomplished 95 on-time delivery through accurate feature estimates, which this is my view. I think obviously delivering on time is critical, but I think these are things that can be potentially addressed, in my view, once you actually getting interviews and talk about those things. I feel like resume is more about getting to know what experiences you've done, the businesses you led, and getting to know more your capabilities. And this is an opportunity, again, to take that and speak about something that is more meaningful. If you do want to say that you're delivering things on time, you can utilize it with another aspect of the business of the resume and say delivered on time, and actually say what you've delivered versus like a generic item of like 95%, which is impressive, but I feel like it's an opportunity to talk about other things that is, for me at least, I see as more meaningful. Again, a little bit about what we talked about earlier is the 2 pages and a lot of information. It looked like this person had a lot of experience in a few different type of companies. And so if you look at the first 3 jobs that person had in the second page, really think through what value they bring. I feel like you don't need to write 2 lines for each position you had in the past. If these are things that are really meaningful to show something that you've learned about, write them down. But I feel like there is an opportunity to potentially minimize the amount of copy here and focus on like 1 or 2 things that you really want to emphasize in your experience, and keeping it short. Skills, I think, again, we can keep that within the resume, but I feel we can just from space perspective, get it to be much more condensed together. Again, just thinking about capacity and trying to kind of keep it minimal potentially to 1 page. And I think these are kind of the key areas that I wanted to flag. So it's really summary, which is great to have all the way in the top. Real estate is expensive, so don't repeat anything you've mentioned before. Change generic sentences to be actual meaningful experiences you've had, along with connecting it to the business side. And then be very specific in what you've done. Don't use things like others, and if it's not important, just take it out. So these are kind of the highlights that I wanted to make sure that I'm sharing.
Absolutely. And also, leave something for your one-on-one discussion. Guys, come on, we want to get to know you better, so we better have some things to discuss on the interview. I love everything that you mentioned, Michal. Thank you very much. Ronnie, I hope that you are ready, because now it's your time to review another CV. This one is of a person who is applying to have the position of a product manager. And I want to mention one thing before we start, that this person included a photo of themselves in the CV. Of course, for the sake of this session, we took it off and we just put a smiley. They're smiling to all of us right now. So there was a picture. Now there isn't. And Ronnie, what do you have to share with us regarding this CV?
Thank you, Moria. So first of all, this is a product manager with very little experience, and that's fine. We all had to start somewhere, and I'm glad that they kept it to 1 page. If we start at the top, the summary, if you want to zoom in so people could see what they wrote, lacks clarity, a goal, what they're looking for. I don't think a summary is always necessary, and here I feel that it really doesn't bring any additional value. More than anything, waste of 3 words. I am a people person, don't know what that means, and a great communicator. kind of don't feel that great communicator goes at that sentence. I love challenges that require self-learning. This doesn't say anything to me. It doesn't say what they've done or what they're looking for. So in this case, I would omit the summary or change it to something more meaningful. Now, if we look at their last position, 2020 to the present, they've been there for approximately 2 years. That's good. A lot of times I like to write underneath the company name what the company does and what my product was. So fintech, medtech, this person may not have a lot of experience, but they may have an edge if they have something specific. I know that in medtech, people want product managers with experience from medtech companies. Why is it really that different? We'll get into that a different time, but showing that you have experience in a specific niche, especially one that wants experience in that niche, will give you bonus points. So specify the type of company, what they did, what was your product. Now, as for the bullets themselves, personally, like Daniel said, not sugarcoating anything. I don't like these bullets. I feel that they do not talk about what the person achieved. Some of them even, I'm not sure if they weren't taken off a job description. I always say that you should cover the top part of your resume. And if you're not sure if you're reading a job description or a resume, then just toss it and start again. It's okay. First job, you don't have to spearhead, lead, oversee, and that's perfectly fine. But things that a product manager does, assume that the HR person who's reading your resume and the hiring manager, they know what a product manager does. So saying that you had experience in all stages of the product lifecycle, they'd assume that. Don't waste time on it. Even put the smallest things, help define KPIs for this one little feature that I worked on. After half a year, I improved this KPI by 5%. Teeny tiny things that a junior product manager can do. And it shows that you know how to measure yourself, that you know what value you brought to the team. And I can't say it enough. Numbers speak so much louder than words. Took significant part in building the product team and implementing processes in the organization. That kind of feels a little big for
yeah, we're there
who's,
with you. We are there with you.
Pompous for somebody who's at their first, even if you sat in on the interview processes, that's great. But again, that's something you could say in, the frontal interview. And we could go down a little bit more. Maria, bottom of the page.
I'm here with
Thank you. Perfect. Mechanical engineer. This could be relevant, but I feel that the bullets don't tell me anything. There are transferable skills, designing mechanical parts and assemblies. I want more. What kind of mechanical parts and assemblies? What type of a company? Again, if this was security company, that might be relevant, because if people are looking for people with experience in the security niche or, chips, whatever, that would be more attractive. Specialization in electronic packaging also doesn't put a little bit more, just so that we know what kind of experience as a mechanical engineer, if it's relevant, and if you could show the relevancy to the position at the product management job. Because if you started as a mechanical engineer in security and then you worked as a PM in security, you've suddenly got 4 years of experience in security companies. So even though only 2 of them is as a product manager, it's a lot of experience in security. I picked that as a random. It could be anything, fintech, health tech, whatever. Education, okay. no problem with that. Not going to go into it. Military service, not sure it's relevant. I don't think that this is specifically relevant to most positions that you'd be applying, so I wouldn't add it. Also, a lot of the bigger companies prefer not to know whether you've done military service or not, so that could be an issue. Just like in Israel, we don't always do military. We don't also put, it's not customary to put your photo. And last, it's not about the resume per se, the content, but you use orange and light brown. Today, people still print resumes for frontal interviews. That doesn't pass in grayscale ink saving mode. So when the interviewer is going to sit with you, they're not going to see the words product manager, the dates, and the titles. So I prefer to have the resume all in black and white so that I know that if they do print it out, they'll be able to see everything. And again, you don't have to fill an entire page just because you're a junior. I'd appreciate less is more, Michal, like she said. Show that you know to focus on what's important. That's also a very big deal. If somebody fills my space just to fill the space, that's not a good sign.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it shows us that this person does not know how to focus on the things that matter, which is the number one rule for product management. Spot on, Ronnie. Wise words. Thank you for everything that you mentioned. And now, guys, we are short on time, but we still have some things to discuss because this session is about both CVs and cover letters. And here we ran a poll on our LinkedIn group page, and we asked, are you attaching a cover letter to your resume when applying for a product management position? With 56% of the audience answered that only if the company requests. The second to that is 38% with who needs a cover letter, and only 6% of the people who took part in this poll says that, yes, I love cover letters. And this is actually a very interesting one. And it takes us to a question that comes from Toktam, who is asking in the audience, could you please talk about cover letter? What should we mention on the cover letter and what should not mention? Could we write details about experience or just mention some top achievement? This is really good. We're going to nail this one because we are short on time. Cover letter is not for stating what you did on the previous jobs. This is why you have CVs. It's usually about showing the company that you are eager to work with them. So with that in mind, it's not about having one template of a cover letter and then just changing the name of the company, right, that you are mentioning for the hiring manager at that whatever company. Is about showing your experience with that within this domain, or about showing that you do not have experience in this domain, but you did other things in your life that brought you to the point where you're either super excited or think that you are the right person for this job or for this domain. These are my 2 cents. And guys, I am sure you have some things to add of your own. So go ahead, tell us, what do you think about cover letters done right?
Sure, I'm happy to kind of share my thoughts. I think that cover letters, at least for me, I see them as an opportunity to reach out again to your network or people in organization that you're reaching out. I feel like this is, at least my experience, I've seen the most success. And so when you're, again, my thought is reaching out to people in your in the organization, on the network, to show your CVs. For that, I definitely think cover letter is important. It's more about a note on why are you reaching out, why what you've done is relevant, and how it can help the organization succeed. So these are the things that I would introduce within a cover letter and the process for it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michal, Daniel, and Ronnie.
Yeah. So again, I might be biased here. So I'm not sure if everybody thinks the same way, but I absolutely
Which is cool. This is why we have 4 people here on stage.
Exactly. But I hate cover letters. It's just extra time to read them. Usually they're not very inspired and not very well written. So think of your cover letter as like the backside of a book, like the book blurb. this is what's selling you to open the book and read the first chapter. And you would never read a book with a few generics on the backside. Same here. And I can just say, I think 1 or 2 times in my life I've actually interviewed someone because of their cover letter, but many times I've rejected people because of the cover letter, although their CV was okay, and I probably would have interviewed them, but the cover letter was so generic that I knew this was going out to 10 different companies at the same time, and that's a huge turnoff. So if you don't have anything really good to say there, and you don't have a really great way of writing this, try to skip it, or at least keep it short and to the point.
Spot on. Thank you very much, Daniel. And Ronnie, last but definitely not least.
Thank you. I'm with Daniel. I don't like cover letters. I don't think I've ever written one, but I do reach out to either the HR, the hiring manager, and it's wonderful that LinkedIn lets you only write 300 characters or less. I usually use that to write like one major sentence on why I am awesome for the job. And I give the person a call to action. I tell them, hey, why don't we discuss this over coffee? Give me a call tomorrow between 10 and 12 p.m. And it's gotten me quite a lot of calls. So people see that call to action. They read my resume or not, but they call, we discuss why I'm a good fit for the job. And I feel that limitation, 300 characters, is perfect.
Very nice. Spread CTAs around as product managers do. I love this one. And we are closing with the last questions we are going to take. This one comes from Elad, and he's asking, personal KPIs achievement. What do you think is better? Translating the company's internal KPIs to more general terms, or keeping it as it is and adding a short description? Too vague or too specific? What do you guys think? Too vague, too specific? What can we do?
The most PM answer ever. It depends.
Depends. I should have seen this one coming. Yeah.
No, but actually, it's a bit like your landing page for your product. So you always have a few features that are pretty great, but that need some explanation. So you need to find the sweet spot between being explanatory enough that people get the value, but being short enough that they don't lose attention on the website. Same thing with your CV. If you feel like this is a big selling point, then give it a bit more room, but try to be still concise. And it may take you like 2, 3, 4, 5 times to rephrase that sentence. And it might be worth to reach out to a copywriter. It might be someone on Upwork or Fiverr or whatever, but they can work wonders with sentences. So if you ever struggle to push something into a sentence, give it to a copywriter. They do it for a living.
Or try to do what product managers do again, and give it to a few people in your network and ask them, what do you really understand out of this sentence? Like kind of like user interviews to make sure that what you want to bring to the table actually was brought up. Thank you very much, Daniel. Ronnie.
I think that
KPIs, numbers. This is your field.
Yes, I think that numbers are very, very important. You should show numbers that show value, but don't be afraid of small numbers. Even if something looks tiny or insignificant. I implemented a system in 2 schools in the US school system. That could be a lot for anybody who understands the US school system. They know that implementing in 1 school is a project, project mission impossible. So I did 2. That's pretty impressive, even though there's thousands of schools in the US. And assume that the person reading this is going to understand that if you're a good PM and you're listing numbers here, then they do have value and they do mean something, even if they're small. So be specific, give numbers, and don't worry about them being small.
Absolutely. Sometimes 0.1% can go a long, long way. It really depends on the metric. Thank you very much, Ronnie. Michal.
Completely agree. Any opportunity to showcase number, show that you have that mindset, and it's just about finding the way to articulate those numbers or the KPI. So I would just try to lean in as much as possible on those and bring them into the resume.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you very much. From Haifa, Israel, Ronnie Moses, product manager at MediSafe and product league mentor. From NYC, United States, Michal Kaos, senior product manager at Walmart and product league mentor. And from Limburg, Netherlands, Daniel Taulfeld. I practiced this one. Brand CPO and head of product growth at SAS Group and product league mentor. I am Royakesis. This is Product League. This magnificent, amazing, dedicated mentors. This is the league. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching us. We can't wait to support you on becoming the best PM you can be. Don't forget to join us for our next review. Guys, I had the best time with you on this floor. I have to say, this was such an amazing session.
Thank you for hosting it.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you, everyone who watched us. Thank you, guys, for being here with me. And until the next time, bye-bye, Leaguers.
Bye.